Morning. Friday, August 1st, 2025. I'm Larissa. This is my Fat Girl Diary. Take two. Oh my God. I started doing my diary and then out of nowhere, I had to poop. Sometimes. Sometimes. And it came out of nowhere. It came out of nowhere. Well, not nowhere. It came out my ass, but whatever. It happens, But I was surprised because, I thought I'd taken care of that already, Guess I was full of it. Best to talk about things when you're not full of it. Yeah. 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 Anyway, Senior Apparel, Mr. Clean Bean, I went to the groomer yesterday, and now I am a walking tumble fluff. He's clean. He's clean. He's able to get on the bed, and it made him very happy, but he didn't want to be in the video. He says, I didn't sign a release, Mom. I don't like being in your videos. He won't even look at me. I was talking to him. He's like, what? What? Somebody talking to me? He wouldn't even look at me. He doesn't like being on the camera. Oh, he'll pose for Omar for pictures, but he won't pose for me. I took a few photos of him this morning though. Cute and fluffy. And he's all look at me, I'm so cute. Yeah, he's like that. He's like that, Mr. Brody. Mr. Brojangles. Mr. Brodaloda Ding Dong. Yeah. Yeah. So yesterday, got a lot of work done. Got a lot done yesterday. In addition to getting the dog washed and the car washed, that was so gross. The car was so gross. So gross. I was like, I can't even stand sitting in this thing. So now it's clean inside out. Yay. Yay for a clean car. Yeah. And after all that, then I worked on the October issue of the magazine on layout. I got layout all done, and I know what the articles are going to be and everything. And it took some doing because I had to rearrange the template from the September issue, which has gone to print. It's gone to print, and I'm supposed to have it the end of this week, right? Supposed to have it the end of this week. Looking forward to being able to put that out, put it on the door and everything, start distributing it. Anyway. Yeah, it was a lot of work. So the September issue is 48 pages, and the October issue has been pared back down to 44 pages. I like to keep it at 44 pages. Yeah, that's like a manageable amount for me. And the last issue, I needed it to be 48 pages because I needed 2 extra pages for stuff that I wanted in the issue, right? And then I had to have another 2 pages for, that I filled, which I used for images, for the new space. And yeah, that's good. Whatever. Anyway, so hoping that the fabric for lining the interior of the structure for the installation shows up soon. Almost done with the painting. There's just a little bit left at the top. It's the part that I need to get the ladder for. Instead of doing one wall at a time, I opted to do bottom, middle, and now I'm going to do the top. So, yeah, that's worked out well. But it's interesting because the interior, the surface that you paint on makes a big difference. So the original room that the installation was designed for was 13 feet by 5.5 feet, right? That was the footprint of the room, and the walls were 8 feet high. Well, this space is smaller, right? It's 5 feet by 11 feet and 8 feet high. And in the other space, I painted the ceiling, and I'm not doing that in this because it doesn't really have a ceiling, other than the ceiling of the room, and the wall doesn't go all the way up to that. Like, it's not. This is not a full enclosure. There's space at the top, right? So my point is that there's less surface area to cover with paint, and this is gonna use almost 2 entire gallons. Whereas the other room that was sheetrocked and um, primed, it took like 1 1/3 gallons for coverage. Oh my gosh, like masonite, the backside of the masonite is so absorbent, and the wood, beams are the posts and beams and joists are all so the wood's so absorbent as well. So it's taken a lot. It's taken a lot of paint. It's taken a lot of paint. But I don't want, it needs to be all covered because I want it to be dark behind. Like when you're modifying or when you're editing the strip on your website, and you put in a background color behind the image. It's like that, except in real life. Yeah, I did a little updating on the website yesterday. Yeah, so I got a lot of work done yesterday. So today, I got some other stuff to do. I do. Last night for dinner, I made a sweet and savory and spicy stir fry kind of thing. I made coconut rice in the steamer, and it was really good. It was. It came out nice and sticky, and it was coconutty, and it was delicious. It was delicious. The rice, it was fantastic. And then for the sauce, um, it was or for what was in it. Like I air fried some tofu and sweet potato, chunked up sweet potato into pieces. Air fried those chunks, and then I sautéed. I have this like sauce base or the stir fry base kind of thing in the freezer that I made. Last time I got a whole bunch of ginger and galangal. It's ginger and galangal and garlic and gobo and um, green onion and hot pepper, right? Grind all that up together. And then I put it in ice cube trays, right? And I make these cubes. And I mean, it was a lot because I had like 2 dozen of these cubes. I don't anymore because I've been using them for a while now. But I took 3 of those cubes out and I sauteed that in the oil first in the wok, and just to cook the ginger and everything. And it makes a real nice base. And then I put into the wok. I put in the onion, chopped up onion, red pepper, and carrots, and sauteed those around for a little bit. And then put in the mushroom, and then I put in the air fried tofu and sweet potato and broccoli. The broccoli was not air fried; it's just chopped up, and covered that for a little bit until the broccoli steamed some, and then I added the sauce, and the sauce was a mixture of hoisin, soy sauce, and pomegranate molasses, mirin, and lemon juice. And I shook all that up. Oh, and I added in a little tapioca starch so it would thicken. Not a whole lot of tapioca starch, like maybe a tablespoon, maybe a tablespoon and a half at most. And then I poured that all over it and let that, and start it up and let it thicken, and had a little bit of sauce on it. Anyway, it was really, really, really good on the coconut rice. And the only thing that would have made it better is if I had had some pineapple in there. Then it would have been sweet and sour. It was really good. It was really good. We ate that. We, uh, well, we watched the newest, the most recent Scaramucci podcast, talking to some dude. Can't remember the dude's name or his book's name. I'll go back and look at it because actually Omar and I were like, oh, we might read that one. He's talking about, the book was about the person or entity that developed the original Bitcoin. And it was interesting because, like, I remember the stuff that they were talking about. Like, there was this document that came out in the early 2000s, like, I don't know, it was like 2007, 2008, something like that, called the White Paper. It came out around the same time as the treaty between the Romani Council and Germany. And I read them all. I read it at the same time. There's a whole bunch of stuff that came out then, interesting stuff that came out. Anyway, I had in my card readings, in years after that, in subsequent years, I had said, cryptocurrency is going to be a big deal. And it was interesting because there was a guy that was at the reading that year. It was one of my neighbors who worked. He worked as he did corporate psychology. So he wasn't a therapist for individual people, but he analyzed corporate culture. But his background was in stocks, was in stock market trading, was in banking. And his girlfriend that came with him as well for the reading, she was I believe she was also in finance, right? And when I did the reading, saying that, and it came up because crypto came up in the reading, and she's like, "Oh no!" Everybody was like, "That you're crazy. This is never going to catch on." I'm like, "Nope, this is going to be a big deal." I said, "It's not going away," and I wasn't saying that I wanted it. Like, I don't own any crypto. I don't know. You know what? I don't know if we own any crypto or not. I have not purchased any crypto. Whether Omar has or not, I don't know, and I really don't care to know. But I haven't personally purchased any, and not because I don't think that it has any value um, in culture currently, but it is just it's too volatile, and the long term on it is, like, power goes out, you can't get it, right? If the power goes out, your currency is not available to you, right? If the apocalypse comes, well, I used to have a bunch of crypto. What the fuck does that mean? It's nothing. It's not anything. It's, crypto is popular because it's a video game, right? It's totally a video game. You get your name on a screen with a high score, right? And you get clout and street cred for having that high score. It's like playing a video game. It has nothing to do with commodity or labor or any of that shit, right? Which is what commerce is historically based on. Yeah. Anyway, they were talking about that. So the book sounds kind of interesting. Sounds interesting. So maybe Omar and I will get that. Omar and I used to, instead of watching TV, when we quit watching TV, because this was around the same time as when this paper that they were talking about came out. It was when we quit. That was when the writers' strike happened, and we quit watching TV because I was just like, this is all bullshit, and it is. And we've never really gone back to watching network TV. Never really. Closest thing was when we were watching basketball because it was on network TV, but we don't watch basketball anymore. So, yeah. our media consumption is very, very different. But we used to, when we first stopped watching television, we started reading out loud to each other, right? We'd pick a book and we'd go back and forth reading to each other. We read a whole bunch of stuff that way. Yeah, we did. We read a whole bunch of stuff that way. So we're considering starting that again, right? Anyway. Oh my God, that was back then, at that time when all that was going on. That was when I was working at the bookstore. I read so I read so much. Like I now read a couple books a year. Like the past few years, I've read a couple books a year, which, isn't that much. But it's just like I have trouble finding things that are of true interest to me. Um, and when I do read things, they tend to be really heavy and dense. Um, so it's a little different. But back then, when I was working at the bookstore, um, I had access to what they call advanced readers. And so publishers will send books before they're released to the public, right? It's called an advanced reader to bookstores. And they're not for sale. You can't give them to the public. They're only available to the booksellers. And when you read them as a bookseller, you're then expected or asked to submit like a book review to the publisher, right? I read I read like 2 to 3 advanced readers a week for the year and a half that I sold books, and all kinds of different genre. I read fiction, I read cookbooks, I read philosophy, I read woo woo self help workbooks, I read history, I read all kinds of poli sci. Like I read Guns, Germs, and Steel before it was released to the public. So I don't know. I didn't read it. I didn't read it after it was released to the public, so I don't know what edits happened. I read The Help before it was released to the public. I remember when I read that book, when I read The Help, I said, this would make a great film, and then they did. They made it. They did make it into a film. I read what other books did I read that way? The Aviary Gate. Um, there was one I read. It was called The Jewel Medina, and there was controversy over it. And I knew there was going to be controversy over it because it was written by a non-Muslim woman, a non-Muslim Western woman, and it's the story of Aisha, the 9-year-old child that Muhammad married, right? Um, and it was eventually released. I think it was released under the title The Sword of Medina. But it was interesting, very interesting, and it was like a historical fiction, right? So all kinds of haram, right? Interesting. It was interesting, yeah, yeah. And the woman that wrote it, she was from, I believe she was. Did she teach at University of Texas? I think she taught at UT. Anyway, so I mean, there were a whole bunch. There was all kinds of stuff that I read. Plus, I was reading stuff that was on the shelves too. I read so much. I read so much when I was working at that bookstore. Hundreds and hundreds of books. Hundreds of books. Hundreds and hundreds of books in a very short amount of time. My brain was just like, well, like reading is like it's like a muscle, right? When I get into the groove of it, I can read really, really, really fast. And when I was reading the advanced readers, um, and the other reason I was reading all the cookbooks, I read so many cookbooks. I was reading culinary anthropology and all kinds of stuff. That was when I became vegetarian. It's when I quit eating meat, and so I was reteaching myself how to cook and nutrition and stuff. So I was reading all these nutrition books and shit too, and herbal health and stuff. And that's all the herbalism books that I read. I read so many herbalism books. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, but it's like a it's 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 a muscle, and I was speed reading at that time. I don't read that fast right now, but I can, I still, if I sat down and if I'm really into something, I can read it in a couple days, right? But I used to be able to like read a book in a few hours. Yeah. 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 And have good comprehension and stuff. When I was reading those advanced readers, I mean, to read 3 books a week, that's like a lot, right? It's like a lot. And I was reading like 3 to 5 books a week. But the technique that I was using, in particular, for like when I was reading textbooks, not so much when I was reading fiction or biography, but when I was reading, if I was reading like a textbook, I would start off. I would read the introduction and any appendix, front and back, and then I would go through and I would read the first paragraph and the last paragraph of a chapter. So I parsed it. And then I would go back and I would whip through each chapter. It sounds like you're reading more, but you're not. You're like, it prepares you so you can anticipate what you're going to read in the middle, right? And so that makes that middle section where most of the information is, right? Like you have for each chapter, like the first paragraph and the last paragraph, it's like the introduction and the synopsis of the chapter, right? So it primes you so that then when you go back, the center part, which frequently if you just go and cold read it, it is takes more to digest it, but you already kind of know where it's going to go, so you can get through it faster because you can anticipate what the information is going to be. It's not going to be so much of a surprise. So that's how I got through textbooks so fast. Yeah. I learned, I started doing that when I was in college because I was working 4 jobs and I still had reading to do. Plus I had my studio work that had to be done, which was like the biggest and most important part of my college, right? Of my college education was that work. But I still had a lot of textbooks to read. And so that's how I did it. That's how I did it. Yeah. Yeah. That was my little trick. That was my little trick to read faster. And not just read, but comprehend, right? Yeah. Because you can go through and see the words on the page, right? But there's a difference between seeing the words on the page and comprehending what's being said in those words. Yeah. Yes. Yeah. So anyway, Scaramucci. Scaramucci, you got a good podcast, you do. Yeah. Yeah, you do. And Gavin, yours isn't bad, but I saw some of the stuff Gavin's up to. Good for you, dude. Good for you. Yeah. Yeah. I'm talking about outside of your podcast. Yeah. Gavin. How you doing, Gav? How you doing? Bravo, Gav. Bravo. Anyway. Anyway, I was telling Omar, I think I found a platform to use for publishing my stuff. Finally, self-publishing my stuff. So we'll see. I don't want to talk about it too much because I don't want to jinx it. I don't want to jinx it. I'm going through with this platform for at least one of the books, see how this process goes, and because I'm trying to figure out how to use their interface, and it's not super intuitive. It's a little difficult to use, but they want you to hire services, to hire help, right? They want you to do that, and if I can figure out how to do it on my own, so I don't have to pay that extra money, I will. You know what I mean? So we'll go see how one book through this platform works, and if it is worth it, then I will do the other 7. Um, and then the other thing I want to do before Christmas is transcribe the short stories, the collection of short stories that I have that are still just I only have them in longhand. I don't have a digital file for those, so I need to do that. I need to put those together. Yeah, and that's just a matter of typing. So we'll see. We'll see. We'll see. Tonight for dinner. Tonight for dinner, it'll be either pasta. It'll either be a spinach and red sauce pasta, or it'll be green beans and squash with quinoa. And I was like, we just had green beans and squash with quinoa. We did, but it was a different squash. I have a different squash now. So it'll be different. Spaghetti squash. I still have that spaghetti squash down there. So we'll see. Ooh, my back's sore. And I got spinach and I got some walnuts. And I could do like a spinach walnut pesto. Yeah, I was thinking about that and those bow ties. Or I could go a totally different route. I got sauerkraut down there. I could do sauerkraut with the bow ties with butter and eggs. Do like kind of like halushka. So it won't really be halushka because halushka is made with any leftover dough you have to make noodles. When you make noodles out of leftover dough when you have dough left over from making pierogies. Yeah. So it's not really halushka, but it'll be kind of like halushka if I do that. Good probiotics in sauerkraut, huh? Good probiotics. Anyway. And of course, there's always the never-ending laundry, right? So there's no shortage of shit to be done. No, there's not. And it's Friday. So I don't know what we're going to do this weekend. Now that the gallery's, pretty much all moved, there's not like a whole lot that he needs to come over and help me with over there. No, there's not. So we don't have to hang out at the gallery all weekend. We can go do something fun. Maybe we'll have a date. Maybe we'll have a date this weekend. Maybe the dinosaurs will return to the boardwalk. No! We just went to the boardwalk. I want to go play Mortal Kombat. Just play more Mortal Kombat. Oh, there was in Mortal Kombat, you get the Mortal Kombat coins. Yeah, you could. And then you go use them and shop at the Mortal Kombat store and buy costumes to play in. It was like a big virtual store. Kind of like Bitcoin, huh? Yeah, kind of. I don't know. Maybe we'll go on a date. Maybe we'll go do something else. I don't know what. Maybe we'll go for a walk at Wilder Ranch. Maybe he'll throw me off a cliff down onto the pelican poop covered rocks. I don't know. Maybe. Maybe we'll go down. Maybe we'll go down the coast. Or maybe we'll go look at some art. I don't know. Maybe I'll go down to Hawthorne Gallery. Make a little trip down to Hawthorne Gallery. Hawthorne Gallery, if you haven't been, it's fantastic. It is. Yeah. Maybe we'll go back down to Carmel. I don't know. Go look some more art. Art. I don't know. David Bowie song, Andy Warhol. Andy Warhol looks a scream, hang him on the wall. Andy Warhol, silver screen, can't tell 'em apart at all. Yeah. Well, Andy Warhol did all those silk screens. Yeah. Those silk screens are like large scale paintings. He put lipstick on pigs. Andy Warhol hated women. He really did. Andy Warhol was extremely misogynistic. Very. I mean, he was snarky and sarcastic about it. But if you look at it, like that man hated his mother. That man hated his mother. Hated women. Mm, mm. Interesting. Very, very interesting. Yeah. David Bowie. David Bowie. He was so good live. Saw him 2 or 3 times. Hmm. Saw him in high school with one of my high school boyfriends, Bill Hill. We went and saw David Bowie together. And then I saw David Bowie twice with Omar. I saw David Bowie with Moby and Busta Rhymes at Shoreline Amphitheater. And we saw David Bowie by himself, I thought. I saw David Bowie with Nine Inch Nails with Bill Hill. Or did I see David Bowie by himself with Bill Hill? And did I see David Bowie with Nine Inch Nails with Omar? I don't remember. But he was really good live. He was like really laid back, and he took requests from the audience, and he had a similar vibe to like Sarah McLachlan in that he was a really gracious performer, and it wasn't like he didn't come out with like, when I saw him with Bill Hill, it was for the Earthling tour. That was after we were out here, so it must have been I saw him for the Earthling tour with Nine Inch Nails with Omar. Yeah. Anyway, anyway, like he wasn't super overproduced in his performances. Um, Real organic and just really really natural on stage kind of thing. Yeah, yeah, he was really good live. He really really was. David Bowie was excellent live. It might have been different when he was younger. Like I'm sure like Diamond Dogs and all of that because that was like all super produced stuff. Um, but as he matured and aged, his production and his performance became very very organic. I really enjoyed seeing him. Kooks. Will you stay in our lover's story? If you stay, you won't be sorry, 'cause we believe in you. Soon you'll grow, so take a chance with a couple of kooks hung up on romancing. Oh my gosh. And if you ever have to go to school, remember how they messed up this old fool. Don't pick fights with the bullies or the cats, 'cause I'm not much good at punching other people's dads. And if the homework brings you down, then we'll throw it on the fire and take the car downtown. David Bowie writing a song about having kids. Yeah, David Bowie. Anyway, I don't have kids. No, I don't. And I don't feel like I'm missing out. After all the kids that I've worked with and all of the capacities that I've worked with kids, no, I don't feel like I'm missing out at all. People get so weird. And I just don't understand. I don't understand people whose identity is totally wrapped up in their role as parent. Like it's some sort of like badge of honor. I don't understand because like, it's not something unusual or special. Our species wouldn't exist if everybody if it wasn't the norm, right? Like it's other things are unusual. Like it seems kind of mundane to me. It seems like it's parenthood is a very mundane kind of thing to me. Um so I don't know. I don't know, you know? I know what it's like to be pregnant. I know what it's like to have a dead being inside of me, right? I've had a number of miscarriages, and miscarriages where, it took a few days for the fetus to pass. It's interesting to like have death inside of you. Um, there's a certain sensitivity when you are literally carrying your dead offspring inside your body. Um, and people don't appreciate that, right? Yeah. Particularly men who are anti choice. Men who are anti choice have no idea. Yeah. Anyway, anyway, anyway. Got some new to me garments recently. Um, one of them's a new garment, like bought new, and then the other couple I'm talking about are things that I bought secondhand. I like shopping secondhand. I do. Anyway, I've gotten some garments recently that are not black. I've added a little bit of color to my wardrobe, and I'm not sure how I feel about this. I got this. It's a pink and black like tie dye jumpsuit kind of thing, and I got a green dress, and then I got those are the two secondhand things that I got that are different colors, and then I got a like rainbow colored slip dress, t-shirt, slip dress, tank dress. It's very, very colorful. Very, very colorful. I don't normally wear so much color. It's weird. Like yesterday I was wearing green and white. I felt a little odd because normally I just wear all black. Yeah. Oh, I was wearing all green or wearing green and white, and then I watched statements from President Zelensky of Ukraine about the most recent Russian attacks in the country of Ukraine. And normally he's wearing all black too. Like he was wearing green. We were wearing the same color yesterday. Volodymyr. Anyway, anyway, it's coming week. I think I need to write some letters. Yeah, okay. Need to put that in my schedule. Oh, next week I have something fun coming up for me. Possibly it's gonna be fun. I don't know. Maybe it's gonna make me crazy. I don't know. I'm trying something new. I'm gonna learn something new. I'm gonna learn me a new skill. I am. I'm gonna get me a new skill this coming week. Hopefully I pick it up real easy and hopefully it doesn't like kill my arm. Oh my god. That's my one concern because it uses a tool. It uses a tool with reverberation and kickback. So we'll see how that goes on this arm. You know, because when I tore this muscle in my back, whatever, and really fucked this arm up, I was doing wood carving and I was wood carving madrone, which is super hard wood. I don't know, 3 big chunks I've been wanting to dig into. We'll see. We'll see if that happens sometime in the next 12 months. We'll see. We'll see. Or we'll see if this new skill I'm going to pick me up. Larissa's going to learn her to use a new tool. I'll talk all about it after I do it. I'm not going to talk about it any more than this right now. I don't want to jinx it. Jinx. Anyway. Anyway. Anyway.